him with this, weird exercise or anything. I just think that if he's strong, like going back to like what he did with Ben Johnson, Charlie Francis just had him do like squats and bench press and then made him fast on a track. I mean, that's all they did. They didn't do anything super bizarre or any Russian type of training or any, loaded hip flexion or anything. They just made him strong in his, big butt. And so there's no magic in a weight room. I've seen all types of crazy golf programs where they're doing, standing on discs and stuff, and hockey. This one guy who's got there's a famous exercise guy. He's not a famous exercise guy, but it's a famous photo that everyone makes fun of because he thought, he never played hockey before, and he thought that if he had hockey players squat on a Swiss ball, it would make them better skaters because he had no clue. He was just, he's an ignorant guy. And so now there's a photo of him, squatting 135 pounds on a Swiss ball. Like that's going to do you any good at anything other than get made fun of on the internet. And so I'm not into that type of training. It's just basic strength. Those big five exercises would go for a pro athlete that I'd work for as well. And then it all comes down to making sure that he's not going to get injured and that, if he's going to have some individual aspects that we're going to help, maybe rehab, or maybe he just needs extra shoulder protection so we avoid some types of exercises. And then he goes and he does his sports training. He does his specific training. And I'm just a general training guy. That's me. Maybe I'm just too simple, but that's how I work with the elite guys. I don't work with many elite guys anymore, but I used to actually really be into training Canada's rugby team of all sports. And we worked with those guys on the basics.
That's fantastic. I asked a mentor of mine years ago when I started training a pro surfer where I live, and I asked him about all this, specific training that I could do to help a surfer. And he was training Maria Sharapova at the time. And, he's like deadlifts, Turkish sit-ups, core stability, and some sort of sprint. He's like, forget about being he can surf. That's how he'll learn how to surf.
Right.
I think that shows your wisdom, Craig, in that answer, because so many people who are making up these insane programs and these insane exercises are the ones who don't really understand that you specifically adapt to what it is that you do, and so you can't really train a sport outside of that sport. So I really appreciate you sharing that wisdom with us. Now, Craig, one of the things that you're well known for is your transformation contest. I don't know how many people, do you have a number on how many people who you've helped transform so far?
I haven't counted it up, but this way, we have done 17 contests. We just finished. The voting's on for it right now. And we have 4 categories, and then, first, second, and third in each. And then usually we have, a bunch of people that don't win a place. So at the very least, we have almost 80 winners in our contest. Plus we have all those other people. Plus we have all those people that just sent in, written testimonials with no pictures. And, I've been doing this since 2003. So we have a lot of people that have gone through my program or just read something in Men's Health and stuff like that. But unfortunately, I haven't had a good way of keeping track of it. But it's, it's a few people.
Yeah, it's great. It sounds like it's well over 1,000 people. And so one of the questions I wanted to ask you, Craig, is that being someone who's looked through the experiences, the journeys that these people have taken, I'm sure you've learned a lot more than just, exercise science and physiology. So maybe you could share with us some of your nuggets of wisdom from these people, how they succeed transforming their bodies. And maybe we could start with something a little bit more simple and superficial like nutrition, and then we can get just a little bit to mindset before we finish the call.
Oh, okay. All right. So, because it's all mindset. There's 5 pillars of transformation that people have to have, and if they have that, they can change anything in their life. So we'll get to that in a second. The nutrition stuff, any diet works. I mean, I'm a guy who believes that any diet works. You can find a success story on anything. And what you need to do is find the right diet for your schedule and your personality. And most people don't really talk about that stuff, but it's just because I've seen so many people, it's like, why is this one person using Weight Watchers so successfully while, this other person is using Eat Stop Eat so successfully or some type of fasting program so successfully? And I will say this, the transformation contest, Eat Stop Eat, is the most popular among the winners. It just really seems to resonate with my audience, and my audience tends to be, heartland of America type of people. A lot of people from Wisconsin and Midwest and that type of thing that win my contest. And so what we find is just, you got to try all these things and, give them 2 or 3 weeks and then say, nah, this one's not fitting me, or yeah, I like this one. I'm not hungry, and or fasting suits me because I get so much done, and it really just suits my lifestyle, and I'm happy with it, so I'm going to go with this. So I recommend that for nutrition, people just need to try things, and they know that they're frustrated because there's not one diet that works, and there's all these experts disagreeing on everything, but I can't think of any industry in the entire world where all the experts agree on something. I mean,
sure.
People don't agree on the definition of things in the Bible, so why would anybody disagree, or why would anybody agree on, everything diet related? So people need to understand that there's never going to be one clear answer. You just have to try and figure out what works for you, and just think of what's going to suit my schedule best, and what's my personality. Am I a type A person who really loves I'm going to eat according to an alarm clock, and that's fine. If that's you, go for it. Or am I so busy that I skip breakfast most of the time, so I need to find a diet that lets me skip breakfast, and then you're like probably one of those 16-8 fast type people, and that's going to work perfect for you. And, your life is going to be so much better because of it, because you think less about dieting.
I think that's brilliant, Craig. You got to find something that works really well for you, especially the schedule part, because people make excuses for diets not fitting within your schedule. If you guys are listening to this right now, go back a few calls. We had Brad Pilon on the call. He is the author of Eat, Stop, Eat, and there's some great information on that call about how you can get started with that program. And then go even further back, we had Abel James and Sean Croft and some other great nutrition experts on the call. So you guys can check those out and decide what works for you. So let's dig into the mindset, like you just mentioned, and the 5 pillars you were talking about.
Sure. So over the years, what I've realized is you can't have a physical transformation without a mental transformation. It's just impossible to do so. And what we found among the winners is that there's 5 pillars of success, and if you have all 5 of them in place, your success is ensured. If you're missing one of them, it's going to be much more difficult. And if you only have 1 or 2 of them, you're pretty much guaranteed to fail. So the first one I start with is planning and preparation. You need to better plan and prepare for your transformation or whatever you're changing, any habit change, better than ever before. And that means coming up with every obstacle that could be in your way and 2 solutions for every obstacle. If you have 2 solutions for every obstacle, that means you have plan A and plan B, and usually that's enough to get you through. Now, after planning and preparation, then it's social support, meaning you need to tell the people that are going to be positive about your transformation so that they can support you when you're going through the tough times. Next, the third thing is public accountability, preferably to a professional. So research from Stanford University says people that are accountable to a professional, whether it's a doctor, a trainer, or a nutritionist, are more successful than people that are accountable to somebody who's not a professional. But people who are accountable to anybody, meaning you share it with strangers on the internet and say, hey, you got to hold me accountable to this, they're more successful. And I know, because I'm doing this with my clients as well, and I found that if there's any trainers listening, that they should, every time they run a transformation contest, they should do a transformation themselves, even if it has nothing to do with fitness. Like you might say, okay, I'm gonna do a personal transformation of being better with my money, while you guys do a transformation on losing fat, and you share and you use them for accountability. They'll get more into it. You'll be more into it. Everyone will be more into it. Everyone's going to win with this approach. I learned that this year. It's probably one of the biggest lessons I've learned this year. And so when you tell somebody something, even if it's a stranger on the internet, you're less likely to go back on that promise. And so, there's been several times in my personal transformation about, spending less money was one of my things. And there were several times when I wanted to go and buy a few books on Amazon, but I was reminded of the promise that I made to these people, most of whom I've never met, on my membership site, and I stuck to it. So accountability, preferably to a professional, but accountability to anybody, and that goes hand in hand with the social support. Right. And the fourth one is an incentive, which is you can have a positive or negative incentive. So you need to reinforce yourself with reward. So maybe at the end of the contest, you get rewarded for something, or there's an opportunity for you to win a prize. or if you don't do something, if you don't stick to it, then you lose out on something, is another way of having an incentive. So, the incentive is for you to do well so that you don't, get punished. And then finally, the deadline. And the deadline comes with a capital T and a capital D. So the deadline. It's because it's one of the most important factors, if not the most important factor in this. Because without a deadline, you'll just extend and extend and extend. You'll procrastinate getting started. You'll be less likely to stick to, the resolutions that you've made, even if you have that accountability, because you'll always be able to say, well, there's tomorrow, and then there's no deadline for this. But if you have a deadline of 90 days or 30 days or 60 days or 4 weeks or whatever it is, it's really, really valuable. And so that's why we see people with, fast start programs like 21 days. People can see the light at the end of the tunnel already, and so they're willing to say, yeah, I can do it for 21 days. Almost anybody can do anything for 21 days. So that deadline's awesome. 90 days is what we do often in our transformation contests, and we do see a lot of people drop out. 90 days is a long time, so sometimes we'll put in a 6-week mini contest so that people at least get to the 6 weeks, and once they've made it to 6 weeks, then they're halfway there and they can see the light at the end of the tunnel, which is always beneficial. And having that deadline for anything in business or in fitness makes people really push hard at the end, like in a marathon. So that is the fifth pillar, and you put them all together and you really have something very powerful there for changing literally any aspect of your life. Whether, one thing that I changed last year was I stopped swearing, and I was able to do that in 6 days by using the pillars. And people use this to change their lives. You watch The Biggest Loser, they got a deadline, they have all this stuff in place. It works. You see it in my transformation contest, your transformation contest, anybody's. So it works. And so just, if you've struggled before, the people that are listening, just go, okay, I didn't have these things. I'm going to do a little planning and preparation, put this all in place, and then boom, this is going to be the time it's finally going to work for you.
Fantastic, Craig. You guys are going to have to rewind this thing, pull out your pen and paper, and start taking some notes on that last little bit, because that is really some powerful gems there. Thank you so much for sharing that, Craig. Well, I really appreciate the time you had to come on the call. Where can people learn more about Craig Ballantyne? What do you got in the pipeline? Where can people learn how to follow these workout programs and transform themselves?
Probably the most important thing that I have coming out is, turbulence training has been around for over 10 years now. It was 2003, September, when I launched it. So we're celebrating our 10th anniversary with it this year, and we're re-releasing brand new follow-along videos. So I'm really excited about that at turbulencetraining.com. And then we also have follow-along bodyweight-only workouts at homeworkoutrevolution.com. And people can always ask me more questions on my Facebook page at turbulencetrainingfanpage.com. That's where we do a daily Q&A, but also lots of interaction and some great posts and videos and really cool stuff.
Awesome, Craig. Well, thank you so much again for your time. Really appreciate you coming on the call and sharing all those nuggets of wisdom with us.
Yeah, happy to help.